Remko, you are an accomplished, I know you're modest, but you are an accomplished academic and an accomplished business professional. You've held senior positions at major corporations. You are well cited, your research is well cited in the academic literature. I've known you since I think 1996 or so. You've had an amazing career. And I feel fortunate that we were able to hire you. I guess you've been here, what, 7 months, 8 months? But you've already made a big impact here. Why did you decide to come here? What do you like about being here?
Yeah. Well, there's first of all, I owe you a huge debt of gratitude for opening the door to getting to know more of your team here, and it's been a fantastic journey so far. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here and to be part of the team. It really feels like joining a winning team and having something to add to the play on day one. So let me clarify why it was time for me to come back home to academia and why specifically this university is a very exciting place to be for me. There are three reasons why it was time for me to come back to academia. The first is there's a huge need for leaders of the future in the sourcing and procurement and supply chain field. Secondly, we are a young field where there's so much still to be, invented and innovated. And third, there's a huge need in business to get some help in exploring the frontiers of practice and implementing some thought leadership. And where I was in my career is I've had the privilege of managing fantastic teams around the world. But the impact on developing leaders of the future is limited by the size of your team. At the University of Arkansas in a single semester, I can touch more students than I could like in a decade of being in industry. So it is a much more effective way to help develop leaders of the future. Secondly, the opportunity to be free in innovating and advancing the thinking in our field in academia. It's such a privilege to be able to think where can we go next. And number three, the opportunity to work with several companies, not just one company, but several companies to implement that and turn that into action. And that ties directly to why the University of Arkansas is a great place for me to be at this point in my career pursuing those objectives. Number one, we have a very strong supply chain curriculum that's getting even stronger by the day. So it is a fantastic curriculum to be part of and to also help advance in my niche of the supply chain, the sourcing and procurement field. Secondly, the connections between the university and industry are very real at this university, and that is a very good pathway to not just innovating but also exploring how we can help companies move the needle and turn knowledge into action. And then the third part on the research side, there's a very strong supply chain research, pipeline and credibility and track record at this school. So again, it feels very much like joining a winning team and adding a little niche to the play right away in the sourcing and procurement field. So for me, coming back to academia is a perfect way to help develop leaders of the future, continue to innovate supply chain practice, and help businesses turn that into knowledge. And at the University of Arkansas, we are in a very supply chain centric part of the country where we have a very strong group of students that is in an exciting curriculum that we're going to be able to make better every single day, where the connections with industry are very, very real to be able to not just innovate, but also help implement. And that is why I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here and to work with our students and be part of the faculty.
Um, you know, you came here in January, and then you taught in the executive MBA program, which is one of the hardest programs to teach in successfully here. And you were teaching a new course, really. And your student evaluations were remarkably high. The informal feedback I got from students was just over the top. They loved your course. Would you mind telling me just a little bit about the course and why students got so much out of it?
It was such a privilege to be able to work with the students. We really have some high caliber students with a lot of experience that comes into the classroom, and they're very eager to share with each other and help each other. So it was fantastic to, on the end of week one on the faculty, to teach my first class and work through the semester with that group of students. A couple of things, I think. Sourcing and procurement is an applied field. So what's really exciting, number one, is to go through the latest thinking and arm students with this is what the best of research and the best thought leadership in the field is. This is where the frontier of practice is today. But then turn to so what and how and why, and have a discussion about what works and what doesn't work. And it's a perfect opportunity for me to not just go through the theory, but bring it to life and to reflect upon what I've learned in industry, and to arm them with lessons learned, the good ways and the bad ways. And the group is very receptive to that because they're experienced executives themselves. So it leads to a very rich discussion. Secondly, I was blessed with several colleagues helping me teach the course. So I had a guest lecture of a CFO of a company in Europe that I've been advising, who actually joined us via Skype from Paris, and he spoke a little bit about how he looked as a CFO at sourcing and procurement. I had a friend of mine from Nike talk about the supply chain transformation that they're going through. I had several videos of peers of mine from the field that I was able to bring into the class as a basis for discussion of, like, this is how this company is approaching it. What does that mean for your own agenda and the opportunities in your company? And what was exciting is that all guest lectures actually challenged the students. They didn't just talk about something they were really working on, that they were trying to navigate through in their day-to-day today, but they also asked the students for feedback and input. So the students actually got to provide some recommendations, reflections, and advice that we actually shared back with those executives, and they were grateful for it. So this wasn't just about teaching a book and being able to reproduce theories in the book. This was going through the book quickly, then figuring out how that might be applied, how very exciting companies are doing that very much today, and trying to help think through how the students in the course could make a difference to that if they had the opportunity today. And then finally, we did real projects. So we closed the course with asking students to take a real life case from their company and work with a team to see what the theories that we went through and the frameworks that we discussed, how that might help them make better decisions for that specific opportunity. And that was just so much fun. And quite frankly, I was so proud of what some of the student teams were able to do. There was one team that actually found a several $100,000 worth opportunity to improve a relationship with an existing supplier. They went out and did it, and I ran into the student a couple of weeks ago to congratulate, and I had the opportunity to congratulate him again on that fantastic piece of work. And he said, well, actually, not only did were we able to grab the couple $100,000 improvement opportunity, I also got a promotion out of it. So I was just so proud of what they were able to do with what we discussed in class, the results they were able to drive, and how it benefited them in terms of becoming more and more of a leader in their organization. So fantastic group of students, such a privilege to be able to work with them.